This video is more of a vlog. I just want to update everybody on what's going on and the various different things that I'm trying and what's working, how it's working, what are the side effects, etc., etc. So if this isn't your thing, you don't want to find out about these substances and how they work under these conditions, then this video is probably not for you, and if it is, it is.
Oh, well, hold on, just a second. Okay, oh, yeah, fasting side effects. Okay.
So I'm actually on day 2 of my fast. I've done some keto, got prepared, and then just decided, hey, if I want to get this fast over with before Christmas, I better get on it. So here we are. I'm day 2. I'm going to go about 10 days this time. I just want to update on some different substances that I've used surrounding before, after, during, and how they affect. The first thing I want to touch on is GHK-copper and its anti-anxiety effects, its calming effects. Now, I've looked at this before, AI, the AI overview, and then the accompanying research, the effect of human peptide GHK on gene expression, regenerative and protective actions, etc., etc. So it's clear that it has, at least in the lab or in studies and results, it shows that it has an anti-anxiolytic effect, an anti-anxiety effect. For GHK-copper, has demonstrated significant anti-anxiety and anti-pain effects in research, acting as a natural stress reliever and calming agent, potentially by modulating stress hormones and supporting nervous system health, making it a candidate for therapeutic use. The reason I bring this up is that I have found that GHK-copper is one of the favorite of the new peptides and new things that I've tried recently, and I find that I use it most days, more often than not. And I want to talk about what I've experienced with that. When I use it, I do feel a strong calming effect. Not like it's going to knock me out. Not like, oh, I took a drug and I just need to, be wiped out for hours. Nothing like that. Just a gentle calming effect. And my buddy Dwan, that kind of turned me on to this one, says that he doesn't have as much of that noticed effect. He has to take more to notice anything. And I just wanted to point out that that's very common. Everybody reacts a little differently to different things. We have different sensitivities, and in my family, my dad is extremely sensitive to any kind of drug, whether it's aspirin, no matter what it is, and I have a little bit of that myself. So when I experience something, it may be stronger in some substances than another person might experience it, or it may be less than some people. Like, I don't experience things nearly as strongly as my dad. If there's the side effect of dizziness, my dad is going to have trouble walking, just as an example. I'm not saying specifically. But in general, everybody experiences things a little bit differently. Now, that's the same thing with Dihexa. I feel a lot of motivation from Dihexa, and I feel a lot of increased dexterity. Like with guitar playing, that seems to be like the place I really notice that I really get into it and know where to put my fingers. And I haven't used it every day, all the time or anything, but I have used it here and there, and I've started it again as I've entered my fast to kind of help get through the fast a little easier with motivation and energy. And if you've seen my previous video on guitar playing, I wasn't even using a pick at that point. I think it's less than 2 months ago. Now I'm using a pick as proficiently as I was using my fingers, and I've been playing for 30 years. So to make that kind of, they say you can't teach an old dog new trick. Well, give that dog Dihexa. Don't give your dog Dihexa. But again, my buddy says that he doesn't feel as much from that. Now, like I say, everybody's different. So maybe it's because I'm on paroxetine and there's already some neurotransmitter stuff going on. Maybe I'm making better use of it because of that. Or I have different blood-brain barrier permeability with certain substances than someone else might. So all of those factors come into play. But overall, what I've found is that I like using a sublingual GHK-copper, and it's just easy for me to take a dose of it in the morning and maybe one at night under my tongue, and gives me a nice effect. Now, I've done a fast before where I was injecting NAD+, and it actually got to be too much. I had trouble with methylation when using NAD. It definitely worked, but there was too much noradrenaline, and I ended up actually losing a little bit of muscle, becoming kind of overclocked and not thinking, straight, and feeling like I was kind of hurried and rushed. I hate that feeling, so I don't want to go back to that. But I actually use a little bit of NAD plus in my graveyard mix of my ECD. I've got some NAD, some epicatechin, and just it's basically a brew of, my quick cuts and a couple of my other supplements that the leftovers go into this bottle, and this is what I take. So it's not always how I do it, but it's how I'm doing it right now. So getting that NAD plus in sublingually, you get a lot more absorption than if it's broken down in your gut. So you do get more from it. It's got the permeation enhancers and it's complexed and stuff. So using my chill focus, which is what's part of this bottle, I get better energy, clear thought, honestly better mood when I'm fasting, just because my energy levels are so low and so, they're adjusting all the time to what's going on metabolically. So NAD can be something that will really give you a little boost while you're fasting or doing keto or making those transitions, but I always use it with trimethylglycine for the methylation issues that can come up. And even if you don't have methylation issues, man, trimethylglycine, especially as you get older, is just a nice, cheap supplement that's underappreciated, and you may really like the way it helps you sleep better and burn fat a little more easily if you're getting older and stuff like that. So no harm, all benefit, as long as you don't go crazy with it. But I actually take about 3 or 4 times the actual recommended dose. They say like 3 grams a day. I do about 9 to 12 if I'm really needing it. So use your own judgment on that. Now, the last thing I want to talk about here is Retatrutide and fasting. So my friend was generous enough to offer me, some shared Retatrutide, and I've always been curious. Could I use it at the onset? Could I use Retatrutide at the onset of my fast to curb the hunger that's present in those first 3 days of extended fasting? And I would say that so far, yes. I would say that's absolutely the case. I took a long-acting, I made up used my Ultra Gel. I mean, not that it was necessary, but that's what I had sitting around. So I mixed it in Ultra Gel and took 3 milligrams. So a little bit of a high dose, but it's a very slow release. And that's probably all I'll do through the fast is that one shot. But what I've noted so far is on the first day of the fast, which was yesterday, I ate 1 pickle. That's it. 1 pickle and, my usual little bit of diet soda and black coffee. Still having my black coffee with TMG and with trimethylglycine. And no hunger. The problem is, they say the gut is the second brain, right? So I don't like to have an upset stomach. For that first day, there was some nausea and some gas, and it's lightened up considerably on the second day. And I think there's plenty still in my system based on the thickness of that shot and how long it takes to dissolve. But I did have some nausea right off the bat, which has seemed to ease up and gotten better with time. So far, I would say excellent as far as curbing the hunger. We all know that. This is nothing revolutionary. I just wanted to share my experience. Like I said, a little bit of a vlog here. I wrapped up the Ultralex, first run, gained a significant amount of weight. Not all of it muscle, not all of it fat, not all of it water, but a mix, right? So you guys saw the pictures and the video. But where I ended up on that experiment, see, I do a fast every 3 months or so. So every quarter, I do a rotation of fast and then prep and a little bit of gains. I gained more than normal using the Ultralex. And in fact, before I started my last fast, before I went into ketosis, at my peak, I weighed 222 on the gym scales. That's kind of what I go by. I wear the same, half, sweatshirt and light sweats, etc. So I was 222 at the end of my last bulk run. And then I fasted and got down all the way down to 202 during my fast. Now that's shrinking down water weight, burning fat, etc. Probably a little tiny bit of muscle. I rebounded up to 213, and that's where I started using the Ultralex, was after I'd already gone up 11 pounds. So from 213 to 221, naked, first thing in the morning, empty stomach. That's where that took me. And the interesting thing is that in, my sweats, on the gym scales, I was like 226. So I actually weighed 4 pounds more than the previous time and was actually just a little bit leaner. So I'm not saying I gained 4 pounds, 5 pounds of muscle, but what I would say is I gained some muscle on the first part, just using the slow release oxytocin and bulking and trying to gain. And then I gained a little more muscle when I bumped it up to the Ultralex to top it all off. But it was rewarding to see that scale move up beyond the last time, which was not my goal. I didn't expect that. I'm actually trying to trend down slowly in body fat over time, come into each fast just a little bit leaner, and then by the time I get ready for my competition, middle of next year or so, I'll start prepping, 12 months out from my show. So, yeah, the last 5 months, I'll dial everything in. But for the next 6 months here, I'll still be gaining and adding some size, but yeah, and just another quick note on adding in the IGF-1 DES. It really was a game changer as far as how I felt. It allowed me to actually use more oxytocin with less mental side effects. And not that all the mental side effects are bad. The oxytocin increases serotonin and dopamine, but I think there's a little bit of a bias towards dopamine, and that can leave a person, feeling a little off because now the serotonin to dopamine balance is skewed. And I think the IGF-1 DES actually rebalanced that to an extent and allowed me to use more and actually feel better. So I went up as high as 400 micrograms per day of oxytocin, 40 micrograms of DES, and I felt great. I felt calm, so calm all the way through that. So again, I might feel that more than somebody else since I'm on the paroxetine. I might feel that just because of sensitivities or the way my brain chemistry works. I don't know. But that was a great, great bonus to that little experiment. And just for anybody interested, yep, everything's still on its way. I checked with my supplier. No issues whatsoever. Very good reputation. Very good on all the, Trustpilot and all the other. So, so I think we're good on wholesale supplies on that. So we're on track. And I look forward to exploring that a little bit more here in just a few weeks when everything's coming together. I can start contacting people and getting ready for that larger, 8-10 person experiment, however many we end up going with. So again, just a wrap up of many different things. I hope this made some sense and gives a little insight as to, let me go out there and try this and, see what you think or compare it with your own results. And anyway, hope this was valuable to somebody out there, and that's what's going on. Just thought I'd update everybody.